Okay, welcome everybody to another episode of Voice Podcast. We're joined as always with Reed. How you doing today, man?
Good. Keeping busy. It's been a beautiful day, so my spirits are definitely up today.
Good, for sure. And our guest of honor today is Lindsey Hagedorn. How you doing there, Lindsey?
I'm good, thank you. I'm excited to be here. It's excited to connect back with SLC and keep in touch with everyone.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us. You're an alumni. What programs did you kind of come out of in school there?
For sure, yeah. So I first did the business marketing program. So I did that for 2 years. And then after the 2 years, I switched and did the IMC program. So the 1-year graduate certificate in interactive marketing communications.
Awesome. Right on. And that was just a couple years ago.
Yes. So I graduated in 2018. So I've been in the workforce for about 3 years now.
So what made you want to switch into the program?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the business marketing program. I just wanted something a little bit more on the creative side. In the 3rd year of the business marketing, I didn't think I would really get that, looking at what the courses offered. So I did a lot of talking with the different faculty that taught in these courses, and just to compare and see what would be the best fit for me in terms of what I was looking for a career. And IMC seemed like the best fit. And in the end, I'm really glad that I did make that switch. It really gave me the skills I needed to enter the workforce and have a little bit more of that creative background.
Great. And so what do you, after graduating, what's your role? What are you up to right now?
So right now I am the associate product manager for Cool Sculpting, which is in the medical aesthetics space. So I work for a pharmaceutical company called AbbVie. So when I started, it was known as Allergan, but we were just bought. So it's now become a much bigger company. But I work in that space. So I do anything from creating new resources for our field out in the team to help them educate doctors on the product that we offer. I hold coaching sessions and training sessions for some of our doctors and clinics that we work with, as well as our field team as well. And then I just do a range of different administrative tasks, whatever I can do to help our team be successful and increase sales.
Right. So I'm assuming that since you're doing a lot of training programs and stuff, does your job require you to travel to a lot of different locations?
So I only started this role in November, the end of November. So the majority of the time I've spent in this role, I've been at home. So a lot of it's been remote, and doing different like webinars and training calls in that sense. When we do get back out in the field and back to the new normal, it will involve going to different locations and different clinics and hosting different events like that. Yes. But so far, no, I haven't done too much travel yet.
Right. So things have sort of stayed the same in terms of your role once COVID-19 hit. Has obviously it's made a big impact on everybody, but how has COVID impacted your role in your workforce right now? Yeah.
So for my role specifically, like the medical aesthetics business has been hit quite hard because it's not a necessary procedure or anything that's needed. So it's not really placed as essential. So the one half of our business is doing absolutely fine. We have a different range of pharmaceuticals that we offer. So those are still essential for the majority of people, but my sector, we've been hit quite hard. So we've really been taking this time to educate people rather than pushing our sales and getting people to buy. We're really just taking the time to re-educate them on what we offer and then what we can do with them, as well as placing different contingency plans in place and what we can actually start doing and be prepared for when we do get to open back up. So whether that's revamping a social media strategy or coming out with new offerings for people in clinics, we've really been focusing all of our energy there and getting ready to gear back up when things do go back to normal.
Right.
Good for you guys. Yeah, that sounds like similar stuff to what everybody's kind of going through. You're kind of having to readjust on the fly, kind of having to revamp your social media strategies. It was funny when this all started a couple of weeks ago. You could tell what companies had their social media on auto post. You were getting a lot of the same messages for a couple of weeks after lockdown. So it's been interesting to see kind of how areas have adjusted. I'd love to circle back to your time at SLC for a few minutes if we can. I was just wondering, what was it about the creative aspect or the creative draw in the IMC program that really drew you to it? And what kind of did you get out of it that you're using today?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know necessarily what drew me to it. I've always had like a little bit more of a creative side in me. Um, Starting school, I started off in science. So where I'm at is completely opposite of what I thought I wanted to be doing. So for me, even recognizing that I like that creative side was like a big awakening. So I'm glad I did take that jump. But I think having that side, I learned a lot of like actual tactical skills in that program. So how to edit videos, how to use InDesign and Photoshop, and so many of these tools that I never probably would have been exposed to had I not explored the creative side. And I found in the majority of my jobs, although what the jobs I was applying for didn't necessarily expect me to have those skills, because I do have them, I've been like seen as an even bigger value or a bigger asset to the team. So going into my role now specifically, a lot of any creative work would be outsourced to an agency. So even if it's just updating an image on a PDF or anything along those lines, we outsource it, it goes to an agency, and it takes a few weeks to get back. But because I actually have that skill set, it saves us a lot of time and money, for me being able to just quickly do it in-house. So I think just learning those skills, and also just having the ability to teach yourself in those programs, and you really learn those actual like hard skills of doing the actual things in the programs, but also the soft skills of being able to be adaptable and strategically think about how to go about certain projects.
Yeah, I love that. There's a lot of things that kind of go on in the modern workforce, but you just talked about hard and soft skills. And I was wondering if you could maybe share with us your experiences about what are some of the skills that you think maybe students are lacking, and what can they really do to build up their resume on their own time, instead of that they're not really getting coming out of college. What's your opinion on that?
For sure. I think no matter where you go and what job you have, you're always going to have to learn regardless. So
Right.
with the roles that I've had, at this job I had to do Facebook and Google ads, and my next job I did as well. But how those two businesses approach them is always completely different. Everyone always has different expectations of what that looks like. So I wouldn't say necessarily it's the hard skills that people are lacking, because if you have a foundation and understanding of what those are, the rest is teachable. So I really think it's important to focus on like those soft skills of being adaptable, and having willingness to learn, because I've found wherever I go, everything's always a little bit different. You're never going to go into a role completely knowing what to do or how to do it their way. So it's just a constant like learning circle. So I think just keeping an open mind when you are in school, like, yes, you need the hard skills for some things, but just know that you're always going to be learning no matter what. And just being able to be adaptable. You'll come across so many different people in the workforce, and some of the managers I have are completely opposite in terms of their personality and their work styles and their leadership styles. So I think it's just being adaptable and being the best resource you can to those people, and doing what you can to make their lives easier.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting point of how you're talking about, it's never ending, right? Like, I think there are a lot of people that probably want to get to a point in their career where they have security, they have stability, and it becomes routine for them, which is, understandable. But I think that's a great philosophy that you have of like, no matter what you're doing, if you've been in the same job for 30 years, if you have a new job that just started, you should always be willing to be adaptable and be learning in different environments. So what is it that keeps you motivated to keep you wanting to learn?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think for me personally, like, I just really don't like letting people down. And I just want, like, that's what drives me, is helping other people. And it's not necessarily to the extent of like, oh, I need to be out in the field as a nurse, like helping people on a day-to-day basis in that sense. But for me, like, I get that same satisfaction that a nurse would, just by simply helping someone with like the simplest task. Like, if someone can send me an email looking for something and I can point them in that direction, like, then that's what satisfies me. And that's where I find that job satisfaction, is knowing that my job is helping make other people's jobs easier. So I think just keeping that in mind and making sure that I'm always on top of things, and I'm able to answer the questions that come my way, is what motivates me, especially in the space that I'm in, and where I'm helping to educate our field team and different clinics and doctors on newest technology with like Facebook or Instagram or those types of things. Like, I feel like I need to be on the ball if those questions do come my way. So for me, it's really important to keep that in mind. But that's, I think, what really motivates me is just wanting to be the expert or be that go-to person for people in my job.
Right. Right.
That's great.
So sorry, Leighton, you mentioned that you'd done schooling before SLC. What are some of the programs that you've taken throughout your academic career?
Yeah, so I actually started, so right out of high school, I went to Queen's University here in Kingston as well, in a general science degree. But I very, very quickly found out that science was not for me, and I did not enjoy it at all. So that was a very short-lived experience. I just did 1 year. And then from there, I went to SLC, and I actually didn't really plan on staying at SLC. I thought, I'll just do this 1 year, try and figure out what I want to do next. But then once I got there, I actually really loved my experience. I loved the people, I loved the faculty, and then I ended up staying for the full 3 years.
That's great.
Nice. There you go. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. What are kind of some of the things that you like to do in your free time when you're not busy working?
That's a great question.
Well, with what's going on right now, I know it's obviously restricted. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now it's nothing too exciting. But for me, honestly, it's like anything I can do with family is what I like to do. I'm very close with my sisters, and I'm fortunate that they both live in Kingston with me. I do live in Toronto when we're not in quarantine, but I usually do travel back quite often on weekends to spend time with my family and see them. We like to spend a lot of time on the water. I grew up boating, so we do a lot of that. But aside from that, as mentioned, like I like to keep up to date as much as I can with different trends, and even if that includes watching TikTok, I do think that is important market research for understanding what's going on. And I will say, I did come across a bunch of different clinics in the US that are using TikTok to promote the product that I work on. So
Really?
Wow.
you never know, you're always being productive when you're doing those types of things. So you never know what you come across.
TikTok marketing. There you go.
So yeah. But yeah, I think for me, like I don't have any like hardcore like hobbies, like, I love skiing or anything like that. But for me, it's really just about spending time with family and people that support me and having that support system around me.
Yeah, that's great. Have you kind of found the work-life balance out in the workforce? Is it kind of a pretty good balance? Do you have some evenings and weekends, or is it kind of like a work hard, play hard type of thing?
Yeah, I think so. For me, I worked in Kingston before I moved to Toronto. So I worked at a startup here called Max Sold, and then I also worked at Queen's University. And I think in both those jobs, I had a great like work-life balance in terms of that. But I also don't necessarily believe in like a work-life balance. I think there's work and then there's life, and you need to make time for both, or you're not going to have time for both. So I think it's keeping that in mind. Working at my job now, yes, like especially now that I'm at home, there's definitely that balance there. It is a little bit harder in Toronto just in terms of having evenings to yourself with traffic. By the time you leave the office and get home, I find it's a lot later than it normally would be if I was just walking home from my job in Kingston. The small town versus big town mentality. Sorry. So I think there's keeping that in mind, but absolutely, I think most of the jobs I've had, they really support that and really encourage you to take that time off when you need it and are there to support you. And a lot of the jobs I've had as well have different programs in place to support you that way as well if you do need that support. But they definitely do have that work hard, play hard mentality.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. So my next question for you is, where do you think you kind of see this work from home balance that you just discussed moving forward? Do you think that most industries like the one you're in will kind of adopt more of a work from home kind of style? I've heard predictions by some people thinking that this may be the way of the future. I think some remote workforces might be as large as 40 or 50% for some organizations moving forward. What's your kind of take on that? Is that where you see things going?
Yeah, for sure. I think, the last 9 weeks that we've been working from home, everyone's still been able to do their job exactly how they would in office. but at home. So I think it's absolutely like possible that we could move to more of a work from home workforce. For our company specifically, I'm not 100% sure what that will look like, if they'll continue having our office in Toronto, or if we'll stay at home. We normally do have like a work from home Friday where everyone does work from home, but I think a lot of the people in our office do miss that personal like connection that you get with people in office, or having the ability to get up and walk around and talk to different people rather than just sitting at their desks. Of course, also if children don't go back to school, there's also that added difficulty with working from home. But yeah, I could definitely see a lot of industries moving towards this work from home life. Also for our company, like a lot of us are out in the field as well. So about 80% of our office actually does work from home already. So it wouldn't be that huge of a change, but yeah, I can definitely see a lot of different industries moving to that style of work for sure.
Yeah. And what about the sort of the marketing field? Like you were talking earlier, how you try to stay on top of trends, like stuff like TikTok and all that, which I'm very curious about. Like I don't really understand TikTok, so that's probably a separate question. But what are some marketing trends that you see kind of adopting to with COVID and maybe even pre-COVID? Like where are we going in terms of how we work as marketers online?
Mm-hmm, for sure. I think one of the biggest things will be events. So I think events will move to a more online platform. I can't see huge events happening for a long time in terms of like what a big risk those would pose. So I know our company is already looking into doing some of our big conferences over Zoom or different resources like that. Similarly, our clinics will do different things, different events to promote our products. So we're already coaching them on how to take those virtually. And the upside to those as well is you can also reach more people. So if someone's not able to come in to your clinic or to your event, they can watch it online. So you're almost also have like the benefit of that is you are able to reach more people. Yes, you do lose that personalization and that in-person contact that most people value, but you also can look at it as an opportunity to really reach more. And you can get a little bit more creative as well online in terms of the different offerings you have. So that's one of the major things I think that will change going forward. I know that Facebook and Instagram also just partnered with Shopify, so you can now purchase instead of your Shopify stores on Facebook and Instagram. So we're also looking at how we can use that in our clinics as well. So whether it's hosting a live Instagram video event and then uploading like different products you can buy right directly on their Instagram. So just leveraging some of those different tools that are coming out. And I think as we go forward, we'll start to see a lot more tools and resources like that coming out into the market for sure.
And going back to the TikTok thing, do you see that as a fad, or is that really the way of the future?
You would love our executive director, Beth Hensley. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's a good question because, I mean, TikTok's very similar to Vine, if you remember the Vine days, and that clearly it was just a fad. So I hope TikTok is here to stay, but I don't know yet. It's a hard call, but I do think that it's a great tool for businesses to be leveraging because it's a very quick way to get a lot of views and reach a lot of people. So
right. And so how does the follower? Why do companies get so many more followers when they use TikTok? Like how does that algorithm work there?
I think it's all about like leveraging what's trending. So I think a lot of companies that are trying to use it to advertise, personally, I think they're doing it the wrong way in the sense that they're creating a specific advertisement and just pushing it out. Right. I think it's very obvious when it's an advertisement that way. Some of the best advertisements I've seen on TikTok are ones that quickly pick up on whatever the latest video trend is or latest like top TikTok song and use that as their advertisement, right, or just do it organically. So I think it's just about keeping on top of whatever is trending on TikTok. And so that's a very, very fast industry. So if you're going to do it, you need to act extremely quickly. You don't have time to, throw a production team together and create this elaborate ad. But I think it's just staying on top of what's happening and staying relevant with it.
Right, and it keeps it more raw, and it embeds itself into the platform. So that's
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
interesting.
I love that. That's great. Sounds like we might have to have you back on for a social media workshop or something. So we always ask our guests this. So restrictions are lifted tomorrow, quarantine's over, everything's back to normal. What's the first thing you do?
First thing I do. Okay, so I am a little sad to admit this, but I really do miss going to like Winners and HomeSense.
You're probably not the only one. Yeah.
Would love to go there. But aside from that, I think I would probably like just have like a big, my family really wants to just have like a big party, like everyone over and celebrate everything that we've missed from once this started to now. So like Mother's Day, birthdays, whatever else comes up in that time. So I think just finally seeing all of my family in person and not over a Zoom call.
I love that. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to just giving my friends a hug, you know? You kind of take it for granted seeing them or your friends and family, and having not seen them for 3 months now, definitely wears on you for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Lindsey, thank you again for making yourself available. You had some great news and information to share for our students, both current and graduated. And I just wanted to personally thank you again. So cheers for being on today.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to be here. And like I said at the beginning, like I love any chance I have to reconnect with SLC and stay connected with everyone.
Awesome. Where can people reach you if they have any questions? Do you mind maybe giving us a work email or something where students can get a hold of you?
Yeah, for sure. So anyone can reach out to me on LinkedIn. So it's just my name, Lindsey Hagedorn. You'll see my picture there. And then as well, if you want to email me, so my email is just L as in Lindsey, B as in Bob, and then Hegadorn, my last name, @gmail.com.
Great. Thank you. I'll put that in the link of the video when this goes up on the podcast website.
Amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks again. Appreciate your time to both of you, and have a good night. We'll talk to you later, guys.
Great. Thank you.